Hello, this is Gabe.
Hey man, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm good.
It's Grant.
Grant, my friend. How you doing? How's the shop? How's Abel?
Yeah, good. Just getting ready for Christmas, and look, I've been thinking about the podcast actually.
Yes, the podcast.
Do you think you'd be up for doing one more?
I mean, to be honest,
well, it's just that with Christmas, seems like a waste for me not to promote the shop. The blend that I did with Little Pomona, you've got your book, you've got the courses that you're doing again.
Oh, this is true. That's actually a pretty good shout, I reckon.
Yeah, man. And with the tax overhaul, there's loads to discuss since we last recorded, and it started with you and I chatting. So maybe we could go for what we originally intended. No jokes, just good cider, good chat. You and me, the two of us.
Well, actually, I'm with Martyn right now.
Hi, Grant.
Oh. All right. One more for old time's sake, then.
And welcome to a special festive bonus. Everybody needs a bit more exposure before the end of the tax return season edition of the Neutral Cider Hotel podcast. Oh, so good to be back. I am your host, Mr. Gabe Cook, along with the wonderful Grant Hutchison, the inimitable Martyn Goodwood-Sharman, and of course not forgetting the glorious producer Scott Riggs. We are all back in the house, everybody. Coming up a little bit later on the show, we'll be chatting with Andy Hull from the fantastic indie rock band Manchester Orchestra, and we'll wrap things up with a festive game for this holiday season. But first, it's been, 4 months, 120 days, 2,880 hours, 172,800 minutes, 10,368,000 seconds since we were last all together into this space. Gentlemen, how are we?
Superb.
Great. Okay, there we go. That's it for the show. Come on.
I'm more impressed. Was that... Well, I'm not going to check the numbers, but are those correct, or did you just comedy fluff it on purpose?
No, I did. I did delay the start of the show by a good 10 minutes so that I could get that. Yes, it is what I was doing before.
I thought you were just...
But
around.
So instead of Googling it, you just got a calculator out.
I did. I mean, that old school, you see.
Well, yeah. Google would have been quicker, and we'd probably be 5 minutes ahead of ourselves now. But
yeah, this is true.
Thanks for that, Gabe.
Andy Hull, what's taking so long?
I know.
That's pretty much what I've been doing for the last 4 months. Is bad maths, everybody. I tried to start my tax return 4 months ago. I'm just finishing it now, everybody. Oh, but at least I've got a tax return to put in because I might have done something over the last few months, which is finally, after talking about it for 9 months, just as the show finishes originally, the release of Modern British Cider.
Yeah, I've missed that. I've missed that, Bell.
I tell you what, it's a glorious thing. There's one chat, big shout out to Harvey Wilkie, I believe his name is, who every single time I have done a post for Modern British Cider and I have said the words Modern British Cider, he has done a little bell icon on Instagram. It's always the first person in there. So thanks, Harvey, for the love, my friend.
Thanks, amazing. Harvey. You've got too much time in your hands.
Yeah, gee whiz. What's he doing?
What's worse, that's just a bot, and he does that to everyone's posts. That is not.
Yeah, say that.
And it just so happens that it
he's
relates
1/3
to
of
yours.
all of my comments. Don't say that.
A bell comment is right twice a year. That kind.
Bell bot.
Oh dear. So yeah, Modern British Cider. It has come out. The reception has been lovely
Rapturous.
from those people who have purchased or read it. It's, I think, it's still got the word cider in there, which means that it's challenging or not necessarily appealing to everybody. So trying to, get the non-cider drinkers to be getting interested and involved in it is definitely the sort of the next big step. But it's been well enjoyed. And, the events that have been undertaken to sort of launch it and to support it have been great fun as we've, emerged back out into the space where we can see people. It's been a glorious thing to do these events, including rather wonderfully just about 6 weeks ago with Grant up in Anstruther at Able. Absolutely amazing. Did you enjoy it, Grant?
Oh, it was so good. It was so good. It was so lovely just to see you in person again.
Yeah, yes.
All these secret meetings you and Martyn were having in Bristol were starting to really wear down my heart. But no, it was wonderful. It was great. And I just I think with Able and Anstruther and where we live and where we decided to do the shop, it was encouraging to have, I think we had 11, 12 people there in a tiny shop on the east coast of Scotland, who previously, probably hadn't even picked up a 750ml bottle of cider or anything other than Magners or Westons in the co-op. So yeah, it was brilliant, and I was it was
great.
Yeah,
it was
super
great.
proud of you, super proud of us, and just kind of feeling good about where cider is, even the fact that there is a book. I know you're saying that now the next step is to get non-cider people in, but it was Camera, who are traditionally a kind of real ale organisation, paid you to do it.
Absolutely.
So, it was brilliant.
All good, all positive stuff, and gotta say, beautiful village that the shop is in, amazing bit of coastline, excellent fish and chips. You've been talking about them for long enough. I can confirm, everybody, excellent fish and chips.
Yes.
And great to meet some really nice people, and great to visit. The cider making scene in the sort of Fife area is remarkable. We had a visit to Dower Cider, and also the wonderful Bertie Bob Fleeman, Rob Fleming. He came along, and I think I see from a post that you're now stocking his cider in Able as well.
We are stocking Fleming's Fife cider. Yeah.
Oh, fantastic!
Yeah.
It's that's a really kind of joyous thing to see all these little small indie producers really actually, not in the past. It would have been that they would have just done that sort of dot matrix sort of printed label, wonkily kind of like just slapped on the side with Dave's Gut Rot or whatever. And now actually it's done.
Episode title already.
Yeah. And now it's actually been done with a laser jet. It's even better. So it's just,
That's the upgrade.
Cider's in such a good place. We've got laser jets. Fuck you, beer.
Anyone got any toner? Fucking hell. Oh God.
But there's been a number of other things. That's not just been the entirety. For me, I've also judged or ran the judging at the International Cider Awards a couple of weeks ago. That was great fun and opportunity to taste some fantastic ciders from all over the world. And maybe most crucially, and watch out, everybody, I've made 100 litres of my own cider.
Whoa.
And what can I say? What can I say? Oliver, watch out. You watch out, my friend. Ross and Y, you get hiding. Nightingales, back in your box. This is it.
Watch out, guys. He's got a laser printer. He's not
that's
afraid
right.
to use it.
And I am not afraid. So, Martyn,
Yes.
what have you been doing, my friend?
I have been doing this harvest. I've been doing apples. I've been working at Little Pomona for this harvest, who still owe me a check for the old advertising on this podcast. And yet again, here we are. But no, I've been still not finished yet with doing some extra bits. Yeah. So it's near the end, but I'll tell you what, I don't know about Grant, but maybe you'll relate to this, Gabe. Living in close quarters with someone like for an extended period away from home. It's really tough. Have you ever done anything like that, Grant?
Nah.
But no, I've been in a caravan with previous guest Hells from the Birham Collective. And they've been great. And it's been so, it's been humbling watching that whole process, like from literally getting your waterproofs on and sitting in the wet to basically now coming to bottling, pressing, like the whole thing is there. So with Disco Nouveau, we've done a whole year's worth of work in 2-3 months. So it's been mad. It's been absolutely mad.
What have you learned that you didn't think you would about harvest? Or you just walk in there going, I fucking know everything. You can't teach me anything.
I'll tell you what, I'm going to dob him in. The biggest thing I've learned is you should not put hoses close to mechanical equipment. More than once. when you break a bit of a kit, don't do it again.
Don't do it again.
And that's not my mistake, but I learned secondhand watching it going, oh God, this. And the amount of times you go, I mean, you're getting very close to doing that same thing again that you did. But no, in all seriousness, the sheer amount of time that you cannot cut out. That's what I learned. So everything that we picked, you put the hours in the orchards, and it takes a hell of a long time. And if you're machine picking, you put that exact same amount of time into the sorting table where you're picking what apples go on and don't go on. And just quickly, you're like, oh, this will be quicker today. And you're like, oh no, it takes the same amount of time. If you want, like those guys, it's you basically can't have anything that's gonna spoil. So there's like minimal bruising. There's no holes, no cuts. There's no mud, no nothing, no leaves. So it has to be pretty much just the apple. That's it. So learned a lot about that kind of element of cider.
Nice.
Is that how you would do it?
Me?
Yeah. Are you a leaves and all guy?
Oh, I'm cheap as shit. I'm with fucking Caledonian Cider Factory. I'm making marrow in my mum's fucking brazier.
That was Ryan. That was Ryan.
Yeah, Caledonian Cider Factory.
That was US Ryan.
What?
That was Ryan Burke, no?
No, that was Ryan.
No.
That was your mate.
Was it? Oh.
Yeah.
You know,
Voices?
the one who you did that day of harvesting with, right? How did that go, Grant, actually? How was that harvesting?
Fine, the marrows came right off the tree.
No, I didn't do any harvesting this year.
Oh dear. We wanted you to report back on the twig harvesting. So
turns out running two businesses with your partner and having a child takes up quite a lot of time. So yeah, I didn't do any this year. I didn't make any cider. I didn't press any apples. So yeah, I don't really know what I'm doing here. Maybe I should.
Yeah. Actually, can we have an executive decision? Grant, you're off.
Okay.
What's the point? What's the point?
And also, I've been drinking oat nog tonight as well, so I've not even been drinking.
Oat nog?
Yeah.
Oat nog?
Oh, you want to get involved in that, Martyn?
No, eggnog is a no, and oat nog?
Eggnog is a no because you're vegan, right? So
no, before I was vegan, I had eggnog and would be like, no.
Bad nog?
There's no way of making it like a good wordplay. I think eggnog is shit. But is that a Christmassy thing for you? Is that like the start? I know mulled cider is definitely one, but is eggnog? Do
you know, it used to be, it was a very well-known coffee chain who I don't think need advertising on this podcast, who have Christmas lattes before I was vegan, and I would always get the eggnog latte, and because it's not really a British thing, you know, it's a very American drink, and I would always get that, and then obviously haven't for a few years, and then I was Instagram targeted with this wonderfully named oat nog, and we bought some bottles.
Because you are a known vegan, you were singled out.
No, like Maybe.
He said fish and chips a lot. Let's send him the oat nog.
I mean, that's it. That's it. I can't really claim
Hang
to
on,
be
fish
vegan
nog
anymore.
is a whole different
Fish
thing.
nog.
That's bad. Let's not do that.
That was the name of the first album I wrote. Fish nog. Okay, how have we made the Neutral Out Nog Hotel? Okay, no. But yeah, so did you get targeted to buy it, or was it just an advert that you went, oh, go on then?
Targeted to buy it, yeah. What? Sorry, I don't understand the difference between.
I just messed up the question because I'm tired. What I meant was, did you get targeted by them being like, hey, we want you to be associated with our brand?
Oh no,
you've seen
just
that?
an ad, just an algorithm ad, and the bottles look lovely, and I don't think Jade ever had it either. So I was like, oh, we need to get this. So yeah, I'm a sucker.
And it's good.
It's good.
Like it? Yeah.
We didn't shake it enough. One thing, if anyone's listening and they're getting the Black Lines bottles of oat nog, give it a real good shake because it was a bit lumpy.
Oh boy.
That's not the advert they paid for. This week's sponsor, who have made the Christmas episode possible, Oat Nog. Please shake vigorously. Shaking vigorously over to Scott then. How was your time away from us, not producing us? Who else have you been producing?
Yeah, I was going to say.
Why haven't you got a haircut? Questions.
It's a lot of questions. So I cheated on you guys after you broke up with me. I cheated. And
That's not cheating.
I guess I got paid for it. So
we're on a break.
I felt real dirty about doing it because I was actually getting paid for this one. So,
Greasy.
That is dirty.
Greasy,
right?
greasy,
Okay.
man.
So,
Shame
yes,
on you.
a couple of lovely women who are married to professional football players here in the States wanted to do their own podcast. They had been doing it for a while, but they wanted some help. I got connected with them through a friend and have been producing that for them. So
Nice.
It could be, if you tried to create in a perfect world the actual opposite of this show, it would be that show. Two women talking to other women about women's issues. That's not tons of comedy, lots of serious topics, and yeah,
And
it couldn't
paid.
be and paid. So there we go. No drinking.
You know, like
and
the
paid.
Free Lad podcast. Is that what you're telling me? Where we promote eggnog for no reason.
Oat nog.
Oat nog. We can't even promote it.
We've
right.
said both words enough times that I think they've had equal share of promotion there.
Yes.
Also, Scott, can you quickly do the horse of knowledge?
Yeah, absolutely.
So football, for our UK listeners, is soccer in the Americans. So that's a soccer podcast.
Is it? Is it that way round?
That was the joke.
Sorry. Do you know, as soon as I said that, I was like, you fucking idiot. I'm so glad we've got.
Was it a joke?
I'm
though?
glad we've
was
got
it?
a volunteer editor that can take those bits out.
Yeah, so that's been keeping me busy, but so glad we could find the time and get back together and do this little Christmas episode.
Wow. With the time away, you were the one who had the least cider experience. Have you found that you've been drinking more cider or searching for more ciders that are in line with what we've been drinking on the show?
Yes, I have. Wonderful listener, South Cider, on Instagram, South Ciders, sent a lovely care package of a lot of ciders that I'm not able to get here in California. So I've been working through that. I also traveled to Seattle for the Thanksgiving holiday here in the States and found a local brand called Alpenfire up there, and had a Northern Spy single variety, which was, it was funny because I bought a 750 thinking I was going to share it with everybody, and everybody was drinking wine. So I drank the whole thing myself.
Yes, my friend. There you go.
That's our life.
Yes, I got a taste. I got a real taste.
A sharing bottle, a family-sized pack of snacks.
For me, myself, and I. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Also, I know no one listening could see it. Gabe, you nodded the whole way through Scott talking then. You were like, yeah, I know that. But yeah.
Alpenfire one of the top 10 US cider makers.
Really?
Absolutely amazing. Oh yeah. Fantastic.
Yeah, really good.
Been doing it for a long time.
And then they're based in Washington, I believe, and Washington State is like New York is probably, it might even be a bigger producer of eating apples
It is,
here
yeah,
in
I
the country. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a ton. I remember I was walking in a neighborhood up there and I was seeing just apple trees in people's front yards and apples just on the ground. I was like, wow, I do not see this in California ever. This is crazy.
I thought you were going to say you were then going to steal them.
I kind of wanted to, but I was in another state, staying with friends. Didn't really have
this Derrida thing's easy.
Just squeeze them a bit.
Steal them. Oh, bless.
And could we just clarify what is the temperature in San Diego today?
Today, the temperature
in Celsius, if you could.
I have to change my weather app to be Celsius, but 18. Is that good, bad, different?
We were 5 in Sommerset.
Yeah,
Ouch.
Pretty nips of them. We've got a new storm about to come in, I think, as well. So
New storm. Also, the last storm, I've only just fixed the greenhouse. I literally saw that news. I felt like such an old man. I was in the car and I was like, no, I'm not having another storm. I'm not having it. Fool me once.
Well, it is. This is. It's wintertime. Obviously, we're just about. Getting up to Christmas, and
it's winter time for this Christmas episode.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it depends on where you are in the world. If you're in the southern hemisphere, it's the middle of the summer. Actually, as I experienced,
where we
in
famously
New Zealand.
record all these podcast episodes.
We do. One of the other things I've had the opportunity to do is to go on Sunday brunch a few times and present ciders. And the last one was about ciders for wintertime. And I wanted to show, obviously, he's talked about mulled cider. It's a great cider for winter. But I wanted to also include those that were apple cider without the addition of other flavors necessarily, just to sort of show big sort of tannic, spicy, earthy characters. And who do we have? Gregory Porter, he seemed to enjoy them. Harry Hill, Joss Stone was on, and she's Devonian. I did call her Jess though.
Making friends.
I didn't realize until after I recorded that Jules said, "You did call her Jess."
Oh no!
Shit, yeah. So, Joss, I know that you're a big fan of the show. I know you're listening. I do apologize. I'm sorry.
Fuck that. We probably get more listeners than she does these days. So,
Jesus,
just take him down.
This is great. Over 4 months, he's just got bitchy.
I was always a bitch.
By the way, that wasn't me doing the accent. Grant was just being a bitch.
Yeah.
It's fine. Joss,
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I'm not really too worried about Joss Stone coming at me.
And what about Jess Stone?
Jess Stone, I've heard, is fierce, so now I'm scared.
The Daily Star newspaper in its entertainment section, like, drummer from Frightened Rabbits goes after Jess Stone.
Hang on. Let's find out who Jess Stone actually is.
So does she not like the cider or what?
I think she didn't like being misnamed.
She really did like the ciders.
Oh.
I'm just trying to Google if there is indeed somebody called Jess Stone and who they might be. There's an Instagram page, Banter with Jess Stone.
Oh dear.
It's a bit inappropriate. She hasn't got any clothes on. Let's
Okay.
keep moving on. Keep moving on, everybody.
I collaborated on a cider. That was quite exciting when we were away.
Ooh.
We have named the collaborator already, so for advertising purposes, you have to move on with this subject, Grant.
Could we just name a couple of others alongside it, like the BBC do, and say there are other cider makers available?
Yes.
For fairness.
For fairness.
No, tell us about the
So, Little Pomona being a cider maker who are not too far away from other cider makers like Oliver's and Orchestra and people like that. They'd got in touch about possibly doing an exclusive cider for restock, and I said yes, but times being like they have been, there was not really an opportunity for me to kind of go down and actually be hands-on in terms of blending and things like that. So I sent James some notes, basically. I said, this is what I want it to taste like. So do that. And they pretty much did. They kind of got it spot on. I was all for
pretty much.
I was all for like jangly acid. I was for grapefruit pith. I was for pet nat. I wanted something not too kind of tannic, not too acidic. I think I also said not a bourbon barrel, which he didn't listen to, but it's actually really subtle, and I think it works extremely well with everything else that's there. I mean, I knew that he and Blair was obviously still there at the time. I knew that they would do it right. So yeah, did that. Called it First Waltz, not the Wee Pink, which James was really pushing for.
The original name was Bareback.
Oh, so I heard. Yeah. I mean, what's wrong with that? I don't know why you even.
Bear's back.
Yeah, I think our shared love of the band.
Which one?
Just the band. Go Google the band.
Yeah.
You might get a few answers. We decided, I was like, right, we're going to go with the name's going to be something to do with the band, but we can't be too obvious with it. Because obviously Robbie Robertson has no money, he's going to come after us for using his intellectual property. But no, we went with First Waltz is the name of it. First Waltz, available in all good stockists.
We're going to say available in all good able.
It is available in Able. That's the best place to go. www.able.co.uk. We have a shop. We have a shop online as well. So one of those websites. We don't have a bell for the website, but
You should do.
You have a bell for the shop?
No. Man, you made me feel really sad about that, actually.
If we did have one, Scott, what would it sound like?
Yeah.
That's it. Go big.
Also,
Go big.
the existence of First Waltz implies many waltz thereafter. And as someone who's done a blend with Little Pomona and yourself, and previous guest Felix Fine Cider, and previous guests Rachel and Helen of Birham Collective have done one. Gabe, when are you going to have one?
Well, I don't know. It's not in the special club. I just made my 100 litres of Dave's old gut rot. I don't know why it's called Dave's. Like, Dave's got nothing to do with it.
How is it?
So it is fermenting in my brother's cellar at the moment.
Is your brother called Dave?
Is it what?
What's wrong with my brother? You haven't met him. He's actually quite a nice guy. No, he's not called Dave. He's called Alex.
How did you tell us about what you did?
So the fruit comes from Muchmarkel, a little farm called Line Down, which is a long cider making and perry making pedigree, like old, but then also sort of made it's a bit more notable because that's where Jean Knoll, who was sort of pioneering cider and perry maker in Herefordshire in the 1980s, that's where she moved to and started making cider and perry, sort of really as that farmhouse tradition was really on the wane and inspired a whole new wave of traditional cider making, classic cider making, the likes of Greg's Pit and Tom, Oliver and Ross on Wye, sort of under her tutelage. And the lovely couple, Ian and Sabine, who own it now, they couldn't use all the fruit this year, and so invited people to go and pick what they wished. And so I did a five apple blend, some Kingston Black, some Stoke Red, some Major, and was a bag of Bulmer's Norman, and it's like a sort of false white Jersey, I believe is its technical name.
I thought you were going to give us a quiz there, and you went, what?
I know.
What? I was like, shit, I have no idea.
What? Have a guess.
I've spent all season with apples, and I was like, I don't even know any names. I don't even know what colour they are.
There were some red ones, some stripy ones, some paler ones, and some yellowy ones. That was basically
so no foxwhelp for you then.
No foxwhelp. That's all early season stuff. So I missed all of that. But the acidity coming from the Stoke Red and from the Kingston Black nicely should balance, hopefully, with some of the sort of fruity bubblegumminess in the major and the sort of some of the bitter astringency from the others. We shall see. It's going to go into the Big Apple Cider Championships next May. So
it'll be a still dry cider.
It will be presented into that competition as a still dry. I will probably do some light bottle conditioning, so a little secondary conditioning bottle to keep it sort of through the year. See how it gets on. So it should be fun.
Exciting.
Oh, I've just done some research. The band was a Canadian-American rock band formed in Toronto in 1967. But here's the funny thing. Their first major album was called Music from the Big Pink.
Ooh. Oh, I'm glad you've cleared up where the name came from.
That's it. You see, it all comes full circle. And just as the final element here is the bit that everyone has been waiting for. There was some confusion post Cider Salon whereby there was a chap called Mike, who we known as obviously Pineapple Mike. Hi, Pineapple Mike. Who we were convinced had obviously gone up to see Grant, and Grant hadn't said hello. There was a big furore. It made the papers. It was a big thing. Well, we had a lovely message from Mike Smart to say, I think that might have been me. My name's Mike, and I was wearing a white shirt. So, Mike Smart, thank you, friend, for joining us at the Cider Salon and for saying hello. Saying
oat nog. Also, I'm amazed that you haven't noticed that profile was fake and it's me. Mike Smart.
Oh, you see, you've just been using your last 10,368,000 seconds to exceedingly good effect there, Martyn. Well, there we go. There's probably enough of that, isn't it? Now it's time for our big interview. It's time to bring on our special guest. Grant, who have you invited onto the show?
Well, Gabe, this week we're heading back to the world of music to talk with a singer and songwriter from a band who are neither from Manchester nor have enough members to call themselves an orchestra, but they've stuck with the name all these years, so the lies continue. With a new album released this year, The Million Masks of God, and fresh from a recent US tour, please welcome frontman and songwriter for Atlanta, Georgia's appropriately named Manchester Orchestra, it's Andy Hull.
Hey! Hello. What an honor.
Hello.
Thank you, guys.
How are you, man?
I'm good. When is it too late to change a band name? It feels like it's far too late now.
I don't know. What is this? Is this album 6?
It is album 6.
Go on, really flip. We just flip it and just it's the big change. It's the next kind of rebirth of the band. Is like we completely changed our name. No one knows who we are.
And no one comes to shows.
Yeah,
Don't tell anyone. Yeah, that's it. I know.
What would you change it to, Andy, if you did?
I like Biffy Clyro. I think it's the only one that's worse than ours.
You just reluctantly on stage, like taking your top off slowly, like
exactly. I could never quite pull that off like them.
Yeah, no. There might be some comments on Simon Neil's changing state. If that was to happen, but
yeah, I think some fans would be quite disappointed in the transformation from him to me.
Some fans will be very happy.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Anyway, talking of past guests, we had Simon join us previously, and a few other music guests, none of whom had recently played any shows. You have. How was that?
Well, I mean, honestly, it was really terrifying. The months leading up to it were a whole lot more anxiety filled than I had expected. And we played like a festival one-off a couple weeks before the tour started. And it was one of the kind of throw and goes where you throw the equipment up, don't really have a ton of time, and lost my voice, which rarely happens. Not trying to brag, but it's not an often thing. But of course, lost it like the fourth song. And I was like, maybe I'm not actually able to do this as a career anymore. And then it was like a few weeks of total tailspin. And then we got into rehearsals and slowly but surely, like, rented out a venue and did a proper, day's worth of rehearsals. And it felt like, okay, this maybe is something that I can do again. And because I didn't miss it as much as I really had thought that I might miss it. Probably just from doing it too much over so many years. It felt kind of nice to have a break and not have, I don't know if you were like this, but when shows were coming up, it was just like, oh man, there's something coming. There's something I have to be a little anxious about.
You get quite comfortable. Well,
exactly.
As anyone does at home,
Exactly. And so getting out and doing it, and the first show was like this show in Dallas, Texas, and the crowd was amazing. And I was like, oh yeah, like I'm pretty good at this. I'm not as good as I was a few years ago, but I think with a couple more shots at it, I might get back to my fighting weight. And then, a week into it was like, oh, I forgot this is a big part of, my personality and who I am and what I've done since I was 15 years old,
Yeah. I know. Did everyone else feel the same? Was that a kind of common?
Yeah, I think a few guys in the band were definitely feeling the same way I was. Where it was like, is this going to be as fun as we remembered it being? And I think it brought us even closer. It's like, man, what a gift we have that people still care about the band. And some of the biggest shows that we'd ever played as a band were coming back after this hiatus. So that feeling was. Yeah, pretty next level for us, grateful.
And how was the writing and recording of this record? How did that land in the landscape of lockdown and things like that?
We basically finished like the last, I guess, before mixing, the last artistic ornaments on the tree, like the day before the world shut down.
Oh, really?
Right mid-March.
Hey, okay.
And Catherine Marks, our co-producer and mixer engineer, she's out of London, and she was able to walk to her studio every day because she was still deemed, an essential worker, which I thought too. This record is essential.
This needs to happen.
You've got it in under like PPE. Like, it is a million masks we're working on.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Trust me on this. So she. I don't know how it was with mixing y'all's records, but back in the day, what we're used to is a couple weeks, maybe if we're lucky, but it's not a ton of time you get to spend mixing it, and it's really frantic, and you can kind of get in your head. So this was the first time we really had no due date. Obviously the label was like, well, we'll figure it out. We don't have to rush it at this point. We were trying to get it out at the end of like probably fall, winter of 2020, and realized that probably wasn't going to happen. So we got to mix the record over the course of a few months, which was really great because we took it slow and were able to dial in everything that we really wanted to. And then really sat on it for 6 months until we started doing, getting ready for the album stuff, promotion. And it was a great sign though, because when we went back to the record, it was like, oh yeah, I didn't ever want to change it in the 6 months, which I thought was a really good sign,
Yeah, totally. Are you someone that always, when it comes to mixing, doubt what you've done?
Yeah.
And then always go back and be like, oh shit, was that? Yeah, because that was not, so I was always just like, right, the line's been drawn, it's, it's been signed off, we move on, and it becomes something else, it becomes a live entity. But I know that Scott certainly always thought back to, minor things and was like, fuck, I wish we hadn't done that, or I wish we had done that. Is that something that you
Yeah, I remember conversations with him during 2 records of mixing, and it was always when either y'all were mixing or I was mixing, and it was that same conversation of like, oh, so are you in that phase where you don't believe anyone that you trust and have been with for the last several months? Everyone's lying to you, Yeah. That's totally what it becomes. Yeah. So this was the first time that didn't happen, where I was like, I'm proud of it. We took our time. It's here. It's great. Let's just let it be,
Brilliant.
Well, the album actually sounds fucking huge. Like I was in the car today driving down couple hours drive, and I had that on loop and then put on the first album again. But especially that Angel of Death, that first opening bit just sounds like proper weird Manchester. It's fucking glorious. So I've lost my voice actually screaming on the way down today. But yeah, it's absolutely like huge record, man.
Thank you. Yeah, it was a balance that the album, what we've been trying to do recently, the last 2 records is, we just love distorted guitars too much, really. So it's now been about trying to discover interesting ways to make things sound really wide and massive without having to depend on if they started with power chords, like how do we get those kind of out of here and work on, kind of building bigger sonic landscapes. So that's a great compliment if it sounds huge.
Well, especially the keel timing as well, where it sounds like it's like you're auditioning for a Mission Impossible theme tune.
Yeah,
it's
it
like
does have some heist
so
vibes.
building. I was literally like I was just speeding, like just shaking my head.
Well,
it's always felt like a 70s like cop car, like a race, through the middle of the city.
Am I right in saying that Ethan Guska did some contributed towards this album and his own sort of personal contribution to music, but also incredible lineage that he's from. He's John Williams' grandson, right? So John Williams, the incredible composer of Star Wars and Superman and Indiana Jones. This album's been oft quoted as having this kind of big cinematic feel. I want to say we've been channeling a bit of John Williams into here. What do we think?
It's one of those things where, John Williams is so ridiculously famous that it takes a few hangs to figure out when you're going to be like, hey, so
tell me about Grandpa John.
What's that all about? And there were a few times, we'd be sitting there talking. We'd have gotten to know him, worked with him really over the course of like a year. So obviously we became close friends, but you'd be like, what is he doing now? And he'd be like, I'm pretty sure he's working on Star Wars. And you'd be like, well, of course he is. Yeah, there's a Star Wars that's coming out. He's probably working on that.
Amazing.
What's interesting is that we actually had a connection with John Williams before we even worked with Ethan, because our movie Swiss Army Man, we covered the Jurassic Park theme song. And so we had to get the okay from John himself. So he had heard our version of it and gave it the thumbs up. So that was even cooler, really, than working with Ethan and the connection of John Williams there.
Like,
Sorry,
oh yeah, John. Yeah, we know.
We know John.
Yeah.
Call him Johnny.
Yeah.
Leaning into Swiss Army Man then as well. That film's amazing, and I know the link with the music videos and the history you have with the directors. But how long in the process did it take for you to realize that it was going to be basically vocals leading the whole charge? Because me and my wife watched it when it came out, and we were walking around the house going, "Bah." For about a month.
Yeah, there's some idiot savant stuff happening there for sure. It's the most beautiful thing we accidentally did over 13 months. We knew immediately it was going to be like that. They told us from the start that they wanted it to be a cappella, and so the music that we were going to submit needed to just be my voice and a bed of my voices, and then we would go in afterwards and go in the studio with Daniel Ratcliffe and Paul Dano and have them go over the lead parts that I had. So it was a bit really like me and Rob building a band out of my voice, which was very fun because there weren't any rules. So the rule was anything you could have found in nature, you can use as a sound. So the idea of like thunder or a zipper, if on your clothes, or your hands going together like this, or snaps or claps, or anything you could do with your mouth, that was allowed. So we started making a sound bank of it. And then the smartest thing we did was we sampled every note that I could sing on a piano, singing ooh and ahs. And then we'd have a full, 4 or 5 octaves where we could then supplement, chords in there, which we've ended up using on Manchester Records since, because it's a unique instrument, that's a lot easier than me doing ahs.
So you don't need to sing anymore.
Basically, I'm out. Yeah, I'm in that keyboard.
You've recorded one each of every word, and so the next time,
every word in the English language.
Like, and then people could have an Andy Hull sat nav. That'd be fucking excellent.
That's true. Just me singing in 4-part harmonies where you need to go.
But when I think about, especially Right Away, Great Captain, but Manchester Orchestra as well, like it's the band obviously, but it's mainly your lyrics, and like that's what really sings.
Right on.
So it's almost like the antithesis going in when it's like, oh, just do everything but the thing that you're
yeah,
really,
and
really
like
good at.
make the lyrics really juvenile and sung from, in the movie, for anybody who hasn't seen it, Daniel Radcliffe's character is a dead body that comes to life. And when he comes to life, he's really like a boy, like a 5-year-old, 6-year-old, 7-year-old boy. And he's trying to figure out life. And so, yeah, there's songs on like, Everybody Poops and Cotton Eye Joe and these, the Jurassic Park theme song. And you're trying to do it in these, wickedly just, deep, heavy atmospheric sounds. And it was great. We did a lot of the vocals with me in the same room as Robert, my sort of partner in Manchester and in music in general. And that I just was like, just don't look at me while I do them. But it feels like we need to be in the same room, because when you're doing shit like, for 4 minutes and you're not looking at any film, you're just like, am I wasting all of my time? Is this what it is?
Is this adulthood?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, man.
So how does that kind of thing, well, Manchester Orchestra and that differ from your solo stuff with Right Away, Great Captain?
Yeah.
What made you decide to do that?
Well, I think right away I was doing that project because I had a pretty clear vision that I didn't want Manchester. I wanted Manchester to be more in like a rock area and sort of a bigger, wider, darker sound. But I had all these songs that I thought were really, I thought they were good, but I didn't see how they could really fit in there. That was something I always admired and was really attracted to with Frightened Rabbit, because you guys were able to have folk elements, but still have these, really big, wide tones and themes all across it. So I think as I've gotten older, the idea of a side project to me has to be as specific as a thing like Right Away, which is a story that's being told. And I'm working on one right now. I've got almost 30 songs written, wildly enough, to my surprise, for another solo project. But I think
it's just you going, da,
yeah,
da,
it's just me. That keyboard is all over it. But I started to want to incorporate more of the solo leaning folk stuff into Manchester. So that really started after Swiss Army Man. I felt like we had sort of cleansed our palate, made this big rock record and sister record, Cope and Hope, with Manchester. Then we make this record where we're not allowed to use any instruments and it's just the voice. And by the time that we had sort of done that, it was like, okay, now maybe we just pick the best songs that I'm writing and we should use that as Manchester songs. And that's why our record, Black Model to Surface, gets more into, more of kind of a futuristic folk record kind of vibe.
Nice.
Sounds wonderful.
Future folk, the new genre.
Something like that.
Future folk.
Is that a genre that was, well, I mean, I'm interested in the Atlanta music scene, full stop. I've got to admit, I wasn't particularly knowledgeable on there being a big indie scene. For me, Atlanta's all about the hip hop and the R&B and the crunk. And I'm just reading the Usher, Ludacris, T.I., Outkast. Are you going to be doing a collaboration with Andre 3000? That's the only thing I want to hear.
Wouldn't that be the dream?
That be?
He is still considered, among everyone who lives here, the coolest artist that's here.
Just
no doubt.
Genius.
And you only listed Atlanta artists that were relevant from 93 to 2001.
Yeah, exactly.
There's been quite a few more. 20 years.
No. They stopped in 2003.
Absolutely. I'm kind of more golden era. But it's moving on. But interesting, obviously, Atlanta is considered home for you, but you did spend a bit of time when you were youngsters, right, in Richmond Hill in Ontario.
That's right.
That must have been geographically, I'm a geography graduate, so the climate of Atlanta versus outskirts of Toronto, that must have been a bit of a shock.
Yeah, in the best way. I mean, not only the weather climate, but, the social climate and, just an idea of how big the world actually is. my parents were doing as great a job as they could in a small southern Georgia town, to explain to me, that there was more outside of it. But it was really moving to a place like Toronto and having so many different cultures all smashed into one, and realizing, oh man, it was a great thing for me as a kid, and as it's continuing to turn into an adult. Because when I moved back to Georgia, I sort of realized how small not everybody, but how small a lot of people were thinking about everything. It was a blessing to have a little bit more experience and culture in it, and realize, that there are more races than even just white and black. There's a whole world of people and cultures, and Toronto was an amazing place, sort of similar to London in that it's a melting pot, which was great to go to school and grow up in.
And,
Nice.
And now you, being a parent yourself, how are you doing that for your kids? What's your sort of...
I'm not going to do any of that for them. I'm just going to keep them in this tiny box.
They are going to have closed minds.
Raising Racists with Andy Hall.
Yeah. Returning. Yes.
Oh my God.
No, it's a great question, really. It's been, for me, a lot about conversation, and making sure that nothing is off limits, and that when, we had such awful moments happening last year, and that was to my daughter, who was 7, was recognizing that this stuff was happening, and what were these riots, and why were there riots, and as best as I can without shipping her off somewhere, which I don't really want to do at the moment. She's a little too young. Yeah, I think it's just being honest, like having real conversations with her and letting her know that, especially where we are, I like to think that it's where we live is a progressive, but it could also be progressive at surface level. And, I want to make sure that she can recognize when injustice is happening that's, a little bit under the surface. You got to look out for it.
You touched on what was happening a little bit around the world, but, predominantly in the US. How's that felt over the past kind of year to 18 months?
Well, a lot of it, you felt, well, it's hard to say you felt glad, but it felt like there was at least a reaction to something that had been happening for a long time, and is still happening for a long time. So there was, a sense of like, thank God this is getting everybody's eyes, not just in this country, but across the world. And for us, then it was like, how can we actually, it's one thing to post about it and to write about it and to side and be allies, but it's another thing to try and find ways to actually effectively help. And so, for our band, it was like really figuring out foundations and doing research on what we felt the right people to listen to. And, Killer Mike's always a really great Atlanta legend, but he's always a guy in moments like this that's like, I'm obviously not the most educated about this, but I'm going to like listen to what he says and pay attention. And he was really a great influence for us just on how can we take any action that we can, without overstepping and trying to act like we're some heroes or some shit,
Yeah, I guess you feel it's easy to feel pretty insignificant, I guess, maybe in a way, just being in a sort of indie rock band. And
yeah, like how easy has it been for us to just, exist? It has been. And, and for us to act like we even have an idea what that's like isn't correct. But we do love people and have empathy, and we hate racism. And so it did feel like, it's something we want to side with as best we can.
This was all pre-written as well, because as a cider podcast, we knew that we would go into these discussions. Of course. This is getting out.
Well,
Jesus
cider
Christ.
podcast. You've got some cider, Andy.
I do. I got 2 big old bottles here. Do I need to open the Albee Hill? I feel like you guys got very excited when I mentioned this.
I mean, I would say save it for special occasion, share it with some friends. It's a beautiful bottle.
Christmas dinner.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Save it.
You're the first, dare I use the word, celebrity, person of note that we have interviewed for a while who actually drinks alcohol. It's always been a slight challenge on here. It's like, hey, it's a cider podcast. Yeah, I don't drink.
All Grant's mates
Yeah,
are teetotal. All of them. Which is a struggle for a guy who owns an alcohol shop. He's like, come on.
All my mates that you were hassling me to hassle for an interview. It's like, none of them drinking. You're like, I don't give a fuck. I want to ask Rainn Wilson how big his dick is.
That's not what I asked.
No,
is it?
okay, I can't remember any of your questions at the time.
I told him to fuck off.
Yeah, that's right.
He did.
So, well, back to the cider. What do you have? It? What's your experience with cider, Andy? Like,
Well, my very first alcohol that I ever drank was a cider.
really?
And it was the only thing that we could stomach, I think, at like 18 years old, and it was a little sweet, and it was literally the current drummer of my band now, Tim Very. I was telling him this story last night at dinner. I was telling him I'm going on this podcast. He was all excited. He's like, you got to talk about Hornsby's.
Yeah.
So we would go, I'd drive up to Nashville. He was 21 and I was 18, and we'd be making music together and then go to like the Kroger, which is the supermarket. And we'd buy a 6-pack, maybe a 12-pack, but normally a 6-pack would just get us absolutely lifted beyond belief. 2 of those, and I'm like, singing my ass off into GarageBand. So cider, yeah, that was my first in. Now I don't think that that's very good cider. I'm guessing it's not if I was drinking it at 18 years old. And then I didn't know if this was going to show up today. And so I went and I bought some Atlanta cider.
Ooh. Is it the Urban Tree cider?
It may be. Should I go grab it? I should have gotten it. I brought
Yeah.
it down. All right.
Yeah.
Give me 1 minute.
It's a good cider maker.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that what you're going to say something bitchy?
You said when we asked though, you were like, there's no.
Yeah, I was completely wrong. I'd completely forgotten about them.
Well, there's Atlanta hard cider and Urban Tree and something called North to South Cider Works.
No, Urban Tree are genuinely good cider makers. And they've been over.
Now you built this up though. If he comes back and it's not Urban Tree, it's going to be a real.
No.
It is Urban Tree because
it's Mike's Hard or
all the
cider. Mike's Hard cider.
All the research I've got here is for Urban Tree. So let's fingers crossed. It's got like a
If it's not though, you have to go. I know this isn't it, but Urban Tree.
Yes.
And do an advert
Just
for Urban
pivot.
Tree.
I'll give him a shout out.
Pivot.
You guys judging my studio in the back here?
Yeah,
Looks lovely.
No, we were panicking about if Gabe actually guessed wrong.
Because he did a bunch of research on that one cider maker and nothing more.
Yeah, you did guess wrong.
Shit.
The Honeybee Craft Cider, Atlanta Hard Cider Company.
Oh, wicked. Gabe, have you got any notes about that?
Yes, they are from Atlanta, and the cider's really hard. Yeah,
I
unfortunately,
can give you a little list of what it says here. It's a
Please
sweet and smooth honey cider is the result of a perfectly restorative blend of organic honey and fresh apples, just as nature intended. With much thanks to the honeybees, this delicious and well-balanced cider is naturally appealing. So there you go.
Can I just say that cider maker didn't know today that they would have a sound clip of Andy Hull just
right,
promoting their product. So
I have a question for you guys. If it's in the can, do you judge it? Is it bad
We
if it's
scum
in a
it,
can?
yeah.
You do.
No.
Okay,
you
just judge
check
it.
Okay,
No,
so it's okay.
No,
if it's
so
in a can.
cans as opposed to bottles doesn't denote quality really.
Okay,
it
that's good to know.
But loads of makers we like have cans and it's not a problem.
Well, it's starting to be a thing over here in the UK now. Makers are moving from bottles into cans that, to kind of tap into the craft beer drinkers, and just it's a kind of easier format, I think, so maybe previously it was judged, but not here.
And in the US, it's almost predominantly cans, I would say, other than the real high-end stuff.
Andy, if you want to know more, read Modern British Cider by Gabe Cook. It's a wonderful book that really...
Hang on.
Oh, no.
Hang
Here
on.
we go.
Where's he going?
He's going to promise to mail you
Fuck off,
one. He'll
Gabe.
promise to autograph it. Here we go. Yeah.
Well, he doesn't need to promise to autograph it because he's still got about 500 autographed copies.
3 autographed copies.
That's not true. There's only 40. Thank you.
Oh, okay, right. Will it make it to the US, this one? Or?
I don't know if the Atlanta Hard Cider Company would like the next soundbite, but this is not nearly as good as the bottle that you guys gave to me. It's quite a large difference.
What do you think of the so you're drinking, well, the Atlanta Hard Cider, but also you've got
the Deritter, is that am I saying that correctly?
Deritter from Eve's, yeah.
Which was last year's version was pretty much all of these guys' favorites. So
yeah, it was pretty spectacular. The first sip was pretty mouth opening. If that's the right phrase.
Again, Eve's coming out with a soundbite like, okay, Andy Hull says it's mouth opening.
Mouth opening.
Imagine if someone said like, have you heard the new Manchester Orchestra record? Yeah, is it any good?
Opening.
Oh, ear opening.
It's very
Completely ear opening. Really open.
Well, from a category point of view, the awesome thing is that USA cider scene it's growing, it's booming. There's over 1,000 cider makers. Wow. I think it's the most exciting sort of global cider place, and it's really interesting that there is cider made in every single state. I found out a couple of months ago that there's cider being made up in Alaska, and down south is no different too. You talked about the Atlanta Hard Cider Company. There's another great one in Atlanta called Urban Tree as well. They're in the Berkeley Park area. If you ever want to drop by,
is this all your research?
They're near the.
Never heard of the Berkeley Park area.
They're near the B&L wings, just in case. If you're ever hungry, get a cider, have some nice wings. They're really. I have actually met them before. They're really nice people, and it's really good cider. So it's a really exciting time for cider.
What got you? Did all three of you work together in cider, or is this just on the podcast? Because I know, Grant, you've got is it a shop now? Is it fully going?
Yeah. I've got the shop. Yeah, I mean we don't. None of us work together. And well, the whole thing. This podcast came out of lockdown. It was like,
right.
Oh, we can't go to the pub with our pals. We can't do sort of cider events or anything. And we're literally saying, well, I wasn't sitting doing nothing. Jay and I had a daughter, so that was kind of. But then like at first they don't really do much, so I had lots of time to
very
do this.
True.
So
they flip the script on you real quick, though.
They really do, and that's when the podcast ended.
How did you guys start? My kid did. Fuck all. That was
I know.
The whole
She's
thing.
gotten no credit for this. But yeah, so we decided we would just kind of start chatting cider, and it kept going and going every week. But my personal cider story was literally just, it was touring. I discovered all these different ciders around the UK, and then came to the US, and as Gabe said, the US scene was like mouth opening for me as well, where it was like, wow, there are hundreds in there, and it was that you could go to Whole Foods and get it in each city, really, and that was kind of where I would go and find like a nice 750ml bottle. Cool. Yeah, and it was pretty amazing, and a good, that was what I looked forward to most about touring.
That's
amazing. New cider.
Amazing. Well, so yes, I talk about cider and write about cider as my actual job, which is,
that's incredible.
Well, it's a bit ludicrous, isn't it?
Look what I do. Just as insane.
I don't even sing. I've recorded them all on a keyboard, so it's just easy now.
For beer and wine, they've got whole industries based around the sort of the advocacy of those drinks, and it's revered and knowledgeable, and there are sommeliers, and there are books, and there are associations and museums all associated with those drinks. Cider doesn't always get afforded the same kind of reverence or same opportunity.
Right.
So each in our own individual way, Martyn, Grant, and myself, we're all just trying to make cider be a little bit better known and a little bit appreciated. And for some reason, we managed to hoodwink Scott to come and facilitate us on the journey with this podcast. So
that's amazing. So how much cider are you drinking a day if you're writing about it for your job?
Oh, it's a good few liters. Yeah, we're doing all right.
You had
a professional.
For your book, you had a pretty sizable collection going on, right?
Yeah, I think I had several hundred bottles worth to explore.
Well, maybe Andy, when you're next in the UK, Gabe can share some of his collection with you. That seemed to be what he was doing, was giving it away because he couldn't drink enough of it. And are you back next year?
Yeah, we should
Is
be.
there a plan?
Yeah, there's a plan. We're doing like 4 solo shows or acoustic shows, just me and Rob, London, Manchester, Berlin, Amsterdam. And then the plan would be next fall/winter, come back and do the whole thing properly.
The full shebang.
Nice.
And how you feeling about that? How you feeling about international travel?
Yeah, I'm all right with it. I don't know. I mean, England is so different too. I mean, we spend a lot of time in, proper England and then get over, to Scotland, Ireland, and then Germany. And I'm appreciative of England, but England's kind of tough for me. That's sort of a tough area to exist, especially around the winter time, because there isn't any sunshine.
No,
and that can be difficult.
We do like to talk about climates on this podcast as well.
Seasonal affective disorder is a thing, and I mean, just look at me and Martyn. This is what happens,
I'm ginger. This isn't because of the lack of sun. This is the lack of specific breeding partners in cold areas. That's why.
And that's why Martyn's got the lights down as well.
Yeah,
got factor 50 on. I'm like, I don't want to get burnt in front of Andy.
Well, I don't even like going in the sun. I just like to know that it's outside. That's sort of thing.
I feel that's spiritual.
Yes. That's brilliant. I love that. Do you have a favorite place to visit in Europe?
I mean, I really do. I've loved all of my time in Scotland. And maybe it's the connection because we became friends with those Biffy guys so early. And so whenever we go over, it's a nice time to see them. And anytime, that tour can feel a little bit like home, even in a small way, helps, or just normal, some normalcy, not just in a box waiting to play. Other than that, no, the rest of it's just terrible.
Scotland or nothing.
Yes. Hang on.
Fuck! Why didn't we get you on sooner? I don't know.
I'm gonna make a play here because Andy, you don't know this, but we share something in common, and it pertains to your surname, Hull, which of course is a fine, proud city.
I've been to Hull, England.
You've been to Hull. Well,
I opened up for
that's a place he didn't like.
I opened up for the Kings of Leon there and went, this is just, if Manchester naming the city after the band wasn't bad enough, my actual name is named after this town. Good God.
So half of my family are from Hull.
I love the place. Don't get me wrong.
It's real mouth opening.
My dad was born there. My nearly 98-year-old granddad still lives in Hull, and obviously one of the greatest and the joyous things about Hull is the Hull accent, and I would like you to have a go here, Andy. So,
I can tell you what my Hull accent sounds like for sure. It sounds a lot like this. This is my Aunt Jo, who's a Hull. This is how she sounds on Thanksgiving. Andy, how's your candy? It's good to see you. I love you. That's the Hull accent down here.
Sounds like someone in Wizard of Oz giving the main character some guidance.
Yeah, but like a southern Wizard of Oz. Yeah, no, it's a lot of that.
Well, look, this is how somebody from Hull would say.
Educate me.
Oh no, it's going to snow. That's what we're going to say. And they say, no. It's going to snow.
Okay.
That's how they would say it. The O sound becomes an sound.
Andy's mates were like, are you doing a cider podcast? He's like, yeah, but I really hope they teach me how to do a Hull accent.
I know.
That's what I really...
I think this will make you feel better, Gabe. I have a musical connection with Hull because I was so depressed opening this winter arena tour for the Kings of Leon in 2007. And I found a Toys R Us or some like toy shop. And I went there in between sound check and the show, and I bought a $100 acoustic guitar that was at this toy shop. And I kid you not, I wrote about a quarter of the songs on our second record, Mean Everything to Nothing, in these weird like gym rooms at these arenas on this terrible guitar I bought in Hull. So
there you go.
You know, the music's in Hull. It's in this Hull. It's all connected.
Hull has got quite a proud, music heritage. House Martins, Beautiful South, everything but the go. Throbbing Gristle. You know, there.
Oh, yeah.
There we go. Now, would you, if, Neil Megson, his name, Genesis P. Orridge, if you were to have a Throbbing Gristle name, what would it be?
Wow, I'm not even sure I'm caught up on what we're saying here. Is Throbbing Gristle, this is a band?
Do you know Throbbing Gristle are like industrial, like precursor to everything? Imagine, how best to explain it? Imagine Nine Inch Nails' Downward Spiral on meth before the 60s.
Okay, I understand. It sounds like it comes from Hull.
Yes, that's right.
Makes a lot of sense.
It's just lots of people going, no, it's going to snow, no, it's going to snow.
They've recorded all of that sound on a keyboard, so every now and then, no. Well, going back to Depression and Kings of Leon, what was wrong with that tour? Like, what? That's such a throwaway sentence you said, and it was like, hang on, go back.
Well, touring, I was very depressed the first several years that I started touring because I just didn't really know what I was getting into. And I was so young. And Grant, I'm sure you can relate. There's just, you're thrown into this thing, and all of a sudden it was more of like a victim of the circumstance. And also this weird feeling of not being grateful, but I was grateful. So it was just the end of a year where we'd probably played 250 shows. And then we got this great, opportunity on paper to go open for Kings of Leon. They had exploded in the UK, but hadn't become who they are now in the US on their third record. Yep, that's right. But the reality was, it's 10,000 people a night, and no one knew who we were because we're on our first record, and we're children. I was 20 at the time.
Fucking hell.
And no one cares. And so you would have shows where they're singing, the guitar part to the bucket louder than your entire band playing your own song. And when that happens for 3 weeks in a row and you haven't seen the sun and you're in a Sprinter, sometimes you got to stumble into a Hull and buy an acoustic guitar.
So how was it then? Because you toured the US with Biffy, right?
We did the UK with Biffy as well, but that's how we met Biffy. Yes, was in the US. Yep.
So right. They presumably, I don't know the exact timeline of it, but presumably they were kind of they were this sort of flip of Kings of Leon, where they were huge in the UK, didn't really have anything in the US, and presumably they were supporting you over in the US.
Yeah. Biffy was for sure at the beginning, because we had met them on Puzzle, so they still hadn't right. Okay, I think only Revolutions was when, because we did that tour with them in the UK. That's when it really really blew up. But they were obviously much bigger in the UK at that time. But those guys, to talk about some incredible people and really influential and just big brother vibes for me over the years. They totally took care of us and really warned us about some of the depression that we'd been feeling and better ways to kind of handle it. And we're very kind to us still to this day. If there's anything at all, I feel like I can always call up one of them and they'll help kind of,
no, totally
soothe me out.
Yeah,
it's really heartwarming.
It's amazing. Yeah, it's amazing how people like that in bands that big can still have their feet on the ground. We had him on the podcast, and it was it's like we were all just sitting in a room drinking booze, which is kind of true. But he's Simon from Biffy Clyro, though.
He's
he's
he's a rock god.
Also, at a time when we couldn't go to the pub, to be in a virtual pub with, I'm not giving anything away, that you are of more importance to me musically than that. So it's what the fuck is this? But with him, it was this is just a normal guy who just happens to be topless while we're recording. It was just
his tech was fucking awful. He turned up. He got the same email as you did. Turned up and he was like, "All right, man, I need headphones or some shit." Like, yeah.
He bought this little microphone set from like this little Toys R Us.
Yeah.
You know, the little one with the echo where it's like, hello.
Oh, it was, and we were sitting there. Fuck, we've got Simon here. We're maybe gonna have to just like can this episode.
Yeah, throw this away.
Yeah.
I heard that episode though. It sounded great.
Yeah, thanks, man. I think
Long time listener, first time caller. Welcome, Andy.
Definitely.
I think his wife sorted it out or something.
That's hilarious.
But
Or you guys have a great producer that really cleaned it up.
Oh yeah,
That might be it. That might be it. No, you're totally right though, man. The way that, because when you come across somebody like that who, yes, is, you know, he's a rock god with a flaming guitar, but you talk to him and he's kind and it gives you your time. For me, it was like, oh, that's how I want to treat people, you know, and it's a thing that I think gets passed on, you know.
That's totally true. And we had the exact same experience. We toured with them in the UK on Only Revolutions. We did I think it was only like 4 or 5 shows, and it was before kind of stadiums or arenas or anything. Well, we did an arena in Glasgow, but that was it. And it was just like we could have been playing bars, you know. And it was there wasn't that kind of, you know, the hierarchy that you can see sometimes where it's like, right, don't go near the dressing room, you know, like fucking don't
look them in
touch
the
this,
eyes.
don't touch. Yeah. Well, we did play with Echo and the Bunnymen. Different fucking story.
And it's funny, you never know when you're gonna get that vibe. You just never know.
No, and like you say, it's like pass it on, you know, like, and because we saw that happen and presumably you're the same, I assume that when, you know, whoever you have on tour,
Of course,
you allow them to look in right and deep into your eyes.
yeah, someone must have hurt the Bunnymen, and they just, you know, hurt people. They couldn't help
that's it.
Well, with you two as well, I don't know how Manchester Orchestra and Frightened Rabbit got together. How can any of you tell me that story?
You know what? It's actually another great example of just someone that I looked up to Scott and thought that Frightened Rabbit was a much cooler band than mine. And we started around the same time. I think that y'all were maybe on album 2 when we were doing album 1. It was around that. You'd been around a bit longer than we had, I think.
I think it was pretty similar.
Was it? Yeah, it's probably just my insecurities that, you know, it's just like they're way cooler. I could never do anything like that. And yeah, our original bass player was really obsessed with y'all's first record, and I would hear it in his car, and you know, like one of those, like you hear something of someone that's like sort of an equal, but you know it's better than yours, and it's like infuriating a bit, but also very inspiring. So it was, you know, and then kept listening. And when Midnight Organ came out, then I really truly became, you know, a fan. And we were in New York at the same time together, I think in like 2009 or so, and 10. And y'all had a manager who knew our manager, and somehow Scott had gotten a hold of my cell phone number and sent me just like the nicest text. It was like, love your music. He knew what Right Away Your Captain was, which was really surprising to me. And it's like, I love this. Just want you to know that we're fans here, and hopefully we get to play shows. And yeah, that just started a friendship up with us, you know, texting back and forth and sharing ideas and music and all that. But I don't think we ever actually played a single show together. Maybe a festival at some point, but I don't think we ever did.
No, I don't think so. I think the only time you came and played the Architect song.
Yeah, Architect.
In Atlanta with Scott. When we played, it must have been Masquerade, right?
It was, yeah.
Yeah.
Upstairs.
Yeah. And I think that was the only time we, like, you know, actually shared a stage or anything like that.
It was, yeah.
And I remember I think there is, you recorded a video of you guys doing it in the dressing room as well, but I remember thinking when you came in and
you guys sort of had a quick rehearsal, and I was like, fucking, this is wild. You know, not only is
we did it in about 15 minutes. It's
I know.
Wow.
Yeah, it was, and that, but it was always, you know, always in awe of Scott anyway, and then you doing that as well. You both just sitting in that dressing room, both just being like, "Yeah, we'll be fine. Be fine.
Yeah, it's fine.
We'll
Good
fucking do
enough,
it, man." You know, and I always loved playing at Atlanta.
Yeah, you had a huge crowd. I mean, you had a sold out crowd every time y'all played there. Very loved.
Masquerade was always like a good place for us, and then later when what's the festival that
Shaky Knees,
we did that as well, and it was like it was weird. Like we were on like usually on the main stage as well. We were like, what the fuck's happening here in Atlanta? You know, that's awesome.
But you guys probably knew Tim Sweetwood, I'm guessing, who was the promoter in Atlanta. And, and we kind of came up with him.
Right.
He was just starting to book the Masquerade as we were starting to book shows, and he's gone on now, runs like 4 or 5 different festivals across the U.S. But he always knew the coolest bands. It doesn't surprise me that he wanted you guys to be part of that.
He was in touch a long time, maybe even before we had an agent or anything.
Yeah, that's awesome.
He was just one of those people who's like, right, I live in Atlanta. You're going to come play Atlanta at some point. Like, cool, awesome, man. Yeah, you need to get us a couple more shows, but we're there.
we travel just for the ones on the plane.
Do you have anything else?
God. I was talking to Grant before this podcast and everything, because I know him from Cider. So it's like, cool. I didn't know Frightened Rabbit properly at all. And for someone who grew up on, especially Right Away Great Captain, but then finding Frightened Rabbit through him, I can't believe how I missed out on Scott's sense of humor in his music and his like wry wit, which is what I love about especially yours and Bad Books as well, where like just the lyricism is just, even today I was listening to it, but the old like I bought a bird that repeats what I say, but I'm lonely as all it's heard. Mm-hmm. What was it like, especially recording Architect with Scott?
Really easy, you know. It's like, it's easy when someone's like, I have this riff in this first verse and it's brilliant. It's like, yep, that's going to be great. Why don't we work on a chorus together and I'll write a second verse. And he liked when I did oohs and ahs and harmony shit, so I was able to layer that stuff on there. Yeah, the keyboard hadn't been developed yet. It's early days. It's in development. It was so easy, you know, and we just kind of worked back and forth. I think we had 3 or 4 sessions sending it back and forth with each other, and that was about it.
So you do actually do quite a lot of collaborations, you know, featuring on other artist stuff. Is that something that you seek out? Is that important to you to work with other people like that?
Moray.
Yeah, the killer band. I don't seek it out. It has been, you know, obviously Scott and I have been talking about trying to do something, you know, together in some sort, and we had several other bits that we'd sent each other back, and that was something that I definitely was like, I want to do this. I want to be a part of, you know, this is something that I would equally seek out. But I've just been really fortunate that a bunch of cool bands, and sometimes bands that are outside of what would be maybe conventional to do, when they ask, and if I like the song, I'm like, of course, you know, I'm way into it. And I think it kept happening last year because there was so much time off.
Well, one of them being Paris Jackson, right? So you've been doing some stuff with her, and how did that come about, and how does that feel? You know, we've already talked about sort of famous grandsons. So
yeah. I think she might have them all beat there.
Yeah.
Who's her granddad?
Her granddad's Joe Jackson.
We call him Joey.
So how'd that come about? How's that?
All right.
What's that?
Well, there's a long story there. There's a really long story there, but I'll give you a little bit of a shorter one.
Give us the long one. It doesn't matter.
I'll try to do the long one.
I'm looking to wrap this up pretty soon. I've got bed. I'm joking. Give us the long one.
The long one is that in 2008, Manchester met a guy who was very young, and we felt like he was in trouble. but we were his favorite band, and we ran into him, and we could tell that he was sort of not doing well on drugs, and he was so young that we thought, let's bring him inside to our hotel room and like let this kid kind of sit in here. We were young ourselves, probably like 20, 21, but he was like 13 or 14 and kind of wandering the streets of New Orleans. We go, okay, let's bring him in. We bring him in, like let him sleep it off. And then we end up seeing this kid throughout the years at shows. We'd show him up, and we always called him Acid Kid. We'd be like, oh, there's Acid Kid. And then we'd see him, and a few years later, he kept kind of doing better, and we were excited for Acid Kid, and it was always fun to see him. And he'd kind of move across the country, and we'd see him in California, and didn't hear from Acid Kid for years. And then, like in 2018, I got a message on Twitter from Paris Jackson, who I did not know, that was like, I'm really good friends with this guy Acid Kid, and he says that you saved his life, and I'd love it if there's a way that you guys could connect. I was like, well, no shit. How about that? What? So that was a great story. That was like, wow, kind of goes to prove, like, be nice to drugged out 13-year-olds on the road in New Orleans. You never know, what kind of friendships you might blossom later. But we ended up meeting her at a show in LA at the end of 2019. She was very kind, and she was real down to earth. And, it was never really thought of, I kind of thought it was a unique story, and how fun. It was nice to know Acid Kid was pulling it together. And I want to say like July of 2020, I got a call from my manager that said her manager had been in touch with him and said that she wants me to help with her full length, to record and produce potentially her full length record. I was like, okay, cool. Let's, she have demos, and sent a batch of like 12 songs that were really good, and had a ton of potential to them. And so it was, kind of the way her life works is amazing. It's like, well, when do you want to start? And she was like, like, how's Monday? I was like, well, okay. We'll go for Monday. I don't have shit going on. That sounds great. And she came in. We were just going to work for 5 days and see how we felt at the end of the 5 days. And it started going really well, worked really well together. And on day 3, I was like, what are you thinking? What do you want to do? She's like, if it's cool with you, I'd like to stay here and finish this record until it's done. We're like, man, amazing. And so we just worked for another 2 weeks and recorded this record. It was amazing. Like, that happened like July, August, and then her record came out in October. Manchester's record had been done since like June or April, and her record came out like full album thing, full video, and we still waited like another 6 months for ours to come out. It was the fastest I've ever seen a record come out in my life. And it worked, and she still is coming back down here, and she was here last week working on music, and she's in a really great position where she just makes the stuff that she wants to make, and is cool with failing at certain things, and just wants to experiment. And I was telling you, Grant, she's a total music encyclopedia, like knows more Frightened Rabbit songs than you do. You're like, where did you find this one? Yeah, it's pretty amazing. She's a really, really big music fan. She's turned into like a little sister vibes, she's a good friend. We look out for her.
Awesome. Well, I mean, I think we probably have taken up enough of your time, Andy.
Good. Just in time for me to go back buzz to the wife and kids.
Well, yeah. maybe you could tell us a little bit about what's next, what's coming up for you.
Sure. Manchester's working on something right now. I can't say exactly what it is, but we're excited in the studio creating something that we think is pretty unique. And then next year's another full US, like a big old tour. And after that, it'll just be festivals in the summer, and hopefully working on a little bit of Bad Books music with my guy, Kevin Devine.
Cool. Nice.
He's coming up in January. We're going to do something special for our 10-year anniversary of that record, the second record that's coming out. Staying busy, trying to work with as many people as we can, and, get better, I guess.
Awesome,
mate. I just wanted to say thank you to Grant, and thank you to you for sending a birthday message, because that was literally like, what the fuck?
That's how I got on this podcast, right? Because I
was like, get him on, get him in right now. No, honestly, that was like, I can't tell you. And one thing I'm annoyed at you about, You must be able to rectify this. No, genuinely, I don't know why it's my favorite song that you've done, but it's part of the summer demos and it's Fresh Start Booze.
Okay.
And it isn't anywhere online except a low quality rip on YouTube. So can you just either...
You want me to email it to you?
If you could email me that, Andy Hull from Manchester Orchestra. And
I got to warn you, the only recording of that song that exists might sound the way that it sounds on YouTube. There was never like a pro version of that.
Andy, you don't need to apologize.
But if coming from me makes you feel better about the audio quality, I will say that.
100%. I've got mates that are like diehard fans for you. One is like this guy called Russ, who is just this will please
Shout
him
out
that I've
Russ,
mentioned him in your name. There you go. But if I said, just got an email. Yeah. Who is it? Oh, that's just Andy. Just Andy. But
I'll put .wave at the end of the file so it makes it seem like it's the higher quality than it is.
You just send me a MIDI track or just some of you just clicking on the piano. But yeah, dude, that's genuinely my favorite song of yours.
Thank you, man.
It's just stunning. It was a right place, right time. And I just blown away by it. So thank you for making music.
That's like a D side. That's amazing. You knew that one.
Oh, you're into deep cuts, eh?
Man, thank you guys for having me on. This has been a blast.
Thanks, amazing, man. Andy. Thank you so much for your time. It's been awesome to hang out. Enjoy the ciders, and spread.
I'll let you guys know. I'm gonna save this one for Christmas. Thank you again. It's very, very kind.
Imagine the scene. Here we are. Faint, wafting, lovely smells of turkey coming out of the kitchen. The table is set. The brandy butter is all ready to go. The crackers are ready to be pulled.
Wait, what? Crackers? What is that?
Well, yeah, crackers.
Christmas crackers.
Like saltine crackers, the little dry.
No. Christmas crackers. The thing that you each get a hold of it. You both give it a good yank and it goes pop.
The cardboard explosive.
What?
Yeah. You get the little hat.
Hold on.
What are you guys talking about?
Is this like a lost in translation thing here? What's going on?
Americans, it's like the easiest way to get a gift. Like, it seems like it would be a really American thing to do. Like, you just need to pull it. Here we go. And it's got, it's explosive as well.
Yeah, I was going to say the explosive nature is what the Americans would want.
Within this small cardboard explosive device is contained therein normally a really shitty toy, a small paper crown, and a joke. Normally, not a Christmas theme,
or a quiz question.
So one of the jokes would be like, what's an essential part of a penguin's stationery? Igloo.
Oh boy.
Yeah. You can take.
I've got it right here. Hold on.
So you really don't have crackers in the US?
No, I've never ever heard of anything like that in my life. Nope. And that's common in the UK, is what you're telling me. That's everyone that has Christmas celebration. That's
Christmas is cancelled. Yeah. Jesus is unborn if there aren't Christmas crackers.
Yeah,
this is a simple.
It was written in the gospel.
I'm just so surprised it's not a thing.
Yeah, it's so weird. We're all about explosives on Independence Day, 4th of July. We celebrate the conquering of the UK. By the US.
We let you have it. We let you go away, do your thing. You're getting too annoying. Just do your thing. Anyway, so it's Christmas time, the time of year of coming together and of love and of arguing and of explosivity, obviously. So as well as consuming a gargantuan amount of food that's going to give you, gout and indigestion, what drinks are we going to be drinking, do you think? What's Christmas Day bevies?
Aside from the oat nog.
Dreaming.
Aside from the oat nog. That was so Christmassy, wasn't it?
Naturally.
Yes. You nailed it.
Dreaming.
I've got a magnum of orange cider, Little Pomona orange cider, which I'm considering opening. Also have the arrival of my latest delivery of Eve's, which is again taking about 3 months to get here. So it's all going to be Christmassy. So there will be an Eve's Perry in the UK as of next week. Sparkling Perry. So yeah, let's welcome back Martyn's Derrider noise as well, because we've got
my mouth is opening
because we've got 2020 Derrider as well.
Oh, mate.
And also in the shop this week, actually, we did a little tasting in the shop. Able,
Sorry.
Yes.
Damn it. Come on.
There it is.
did a little tasting, and we had Branland Ember Ice Cider, which is an ice cider with some spirit in it and some sort of mulling spices as well. And
Oh my.
yeah, we just had the one bottle to open for customers to taste, and everyone who tried it pre-ordered a bottle. It was stunning.
You're on the pre-order hype in Fife. Think about cider and where we are now. That is like.
Well, the reason being that there's no way we would order even 12 bottles of that without being able to but the thing with I find with ice cider is if you can have a bottle open for people to try, they'll fucking buy it, because that's how good it is. And this one went down a storm. So
Scott, have you ever had an ice cider?
No.
Ooh,
Okay.
we need to.
You need to head to Fife because
They'll pre-order a bottle for you.
I believe Eden's is the famous American ice cider maker.
Well, when
right?
your Christmas package arrives, there'll be an ice cider.
Yes.
But again, I wasn't mocking it of like that and saying what the fuck. It's more amazing that we're even on that level of cider chat. Like I'm so surprised that we've not mentioned Gold Rush at all in this episode, because that's all that cider chat was. Speaking of which,
we have now.
Thanks, Tom. I expect my check.
You're getting a lot of checks.
Yeah, well, I'm not. That's the real problem. a very clear absence of money is my problem. But no, the point that we can even have bottles like that open, and cider isn't just, these are the 3 500ml ciders that have always been bought for this place. And to know that people are going and seeking out that kind of thing in such a place as Fife is absolutely humbling to the nth degree.
Wild. So what are you drinking?
So speaking of humbling, but I got invited down to Borough Hill today by Matilda, and I spent the day basically trying everything, including a cider brandy which the apples used in it were older than myself. They were picked before my birth.
Really?
And
wow.
Yeah, if that doesn't show you how vast the wheels are and how slowly they must turn at that scale, it was amazing. And genuinely hearing them talk about cooperage and orcharding and decisions that literally they are talking about generation after generation. So their discussions are like 45-year time minimum. And it's just, you realize how crazy this scene is. And coming from beer into cider, and it was like new labels on a beer each month. And then there's these guys who literally are just standing with the same thing. It was literally magic. And as such, I've got a bottle of the Perry for Christmas.
Oh.
And I've got one now, and it is, fucking stellar. I love the Kingston Black and the Stoke Red bottle conditioned, bottle fermented. But the Perry is just like, I mean,
I don't think I've
I
had their
want
perry.
7. Nor would I.
They were pouring it at the cider salon, I seem to remember.
No, I don't remember that at all. I remember not. Maybe they ran out at that point. When I got to Matilda, it was the brandy ice cider and Kingston Black. That's all I had to taste.
I was going to say they do quite a bit of ice cider as well, right?
That's genuinely a Christmas staple in our house. And I told her today that, like, annoyingly, we all have the same idea. So we all get a bottle. So there's currently 4 from last year when we drank 2.
Nice.
So we've all agreed not to buy it this year, which is bad for them business-wise, I'm sure.
No, we'll
but
mix it up and go for a bottle of the Somerset Pomona, which is their take on a Pomo. So it's 50-50 the cider brandy and the other 50% is juice. And it's just the most wonderful, balanced, decadent, intense, but fun. Gosh, it's just one of my favorite drinks, full stop. It's amazing.
And with it as well, I must confess, I wasn't drunk driving, naturally, but I was screaming all of Manchester Orchestra's back catalogue on the way up. But
and were you doing it in a Hull accent? That's what I want to know.
Oh yeah, fresh start booze. Even though that's just weird for me.
It's not quite so.
No, it's not. But there was one barrel. We got the thief out, drew some from a barrel, and smelled it. And it was just intense, really young cider brandy. Have a sip, and Julian just pipes in. It's 75%, I think. I was like, it's 11 o'clock. But even at that stage, again, looking at the barrels and what they have there, and just to give context, there's a row of barrels. There's about 20 of them, and one row holds within it $250,000 in tax. So just when he said that, I was like, I can't fathom going to the bank with if you were to start that business now and say, I'd like to borrow some money for cider brandy. Like, it just is insane. But to be there, completely wonderful. And as such, there will be a lot of Burrow Hill at my Christmas table this year.
Bravo. Well, I'll be, the cider cupboard has diminished somewhat over the course of the last year. I have drunk and given away quite a stupendous amount of cider, thankfully, so that I don't need to rent a separate.
Oh, thankfully, thank God.
I know.
I've sold my diamond shoes, which were just a bit too tight.
They're a bit scratchy, on the ankles. I was doing a private tasting session for some folks in London on the weekend, and I got the Oliver's Dabinet 2019 to pour for them, and I thought it was I hadn't tried it before, and I thought it was utterly majestic. It was.
Is that the Isla one, or is that unsmoked?
It's not overly smoky. It's spirituous, but in the most kind and hugging and involving way. It's a grown-up's drink. It was just majestic, absolutely majestic. So that's definitely one for food. I also did pinch a bottle from the International Cider Awards. There was one bottle left at the back of the Angry Orchard Method Traditionnel Newtown Pippin, which I do believe.
Wait.
Here we go.
Newtown Pippin.
That's Ringo Starr now.
That's Ringo, yeah.
That's an episode of Thomas the Tank Engine there. The Red
what
Engine.
he's most famous for,
the
actually.
Red Engine,
Ringo.
Newtown Pippin.
Gideon brought the Newtown Pippin. Anyway, carry on. That's wonderful.
Yes,
You can tell we're 2.5 hours in.
2.5 into 5. That's exactly what
it won the gold medal for best bottle fermented cider. So and
in what? In your shed? It won the gold.
Shed Awards at the International Cider Awards, to which I was chair of judges the other week.
Okay.
And if all else fails, a bottle of Sanford Orchard's The General. I just think that it's a gorgeous drink. I liken it to Henry Weston's Vintage Reserve 20 years ago. Was this giant beastly drink that was just so intense and characterful, and The General has definitely sort of picked up the baton of that. It's a lush drink. So
leaning into the Sanford, I had a bottle of the Tremlets that we were given for the recording. Barney, if you're listening, say something now. Nope, still delayed. But we had. But he gave us a bottle of that as well in the mix, and I genuinely, Hannah was looking at me drinking it, and she was like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, I have no reference for this. I said, this is the most cidery thing I think I've ever drank, because I'll post it up in a bit, but it was genuinely like, instead of it being fruit there was like a ghost of that apple, but then it was the most structured drink I've ever had. And like the bitterness, the tannins and everything, it felt like a sensation rather than a liquid. I was like, how is this? I've never drank a cider like it. Genuinely, if you want to learn about structure in drinks, pick a bottle of that, because I was like, I can't even discuss it. I have no reference.
It's partly down to the fact that Andy May, who's the head cider maker down at Sanford Orchards, is one of the best cider makers in the country, I think. And he's a young guy. He's in his 20s, and he's going to be making great ciders for decades to come. And massive kudos to Barney Butterfield, proprietor of Sanford Orchards, to allow him to go off and to do these fun, playful, idiosyncratic kind of things. The second part to it is the weirdness and the insanity and idiosyncrasy of Tremlets Bitter. It is an apple almost like no other, and invokes in some people an amazing positive visceral response, just as you did. Bill Bradshaw is also a big fan of the Tremlets Bitter, such that he has just fairly recently had an article all about Tremlets Bitter published on the Pellicle website. So go and have a look at that. It's a very weird noise.
Pellicle sound.
Okay, that's a pelican.
Nearly.
Shit. So Tremlets Bitter, yeah, amazing. Some really good stuff, and there's very, very few examples of it as a single variety today, because of what you were describing. Is the intensity and weight of that is just a bit too much for lots of people.
It just, left field isn't the word. I just couldn't even grasp it. But let's throw it to our American correspondent. What will you be drinking this festive season, Scott?
So I think between Christmas and New Year's, I'm probably going to drink most of the best bottles I think I have. One, I'm going to go get another bottle of what I just had today, which is Redfield from West County Cider out of Massachusetts. It was damn delicious.
Yeah.
It is so good.
For listeners, Scott showed us the label, and then next time we asked about it, the whole bottle was gone. Yeah, it's delicious.
Which was about 30 seconds later.
Yeah.
I got a straw. I shoved it in the bottle.
Yeah. Well, I remember seeing it at a local bottle shop after one of our guests, and I can't remember if it was Soham or Guidon. Someone mentioned that it was like one of the best cider makers they had ever had and a big influence on them. Do you remember, Gabe?
More likely to be Soham because it's Massachusetts.
Got it.
Yeah.
But it was really good. And then a couple bottles I have from, I think, a gift pack you guys sent me a while ago from Eve's. One specifically, I've never had the Autumn Gold. Nice. So yeah. I want to do that. And then lovely folks at Little Pomona sent me a bottle of Disco Nouveau, which you guys have all said lovely things about. So I'll probably do that. And then lastly, a bottle of not 12-year-old Oliver's, the bottle condition medium season 2018 that I found.
Amazing.
Get yourself a sink and open it.
Yes.
Not over the sink, outside,
Yeah.
away from any building.
Chill down.
Very, very
to-
cold. Do
Yeah.
you know, actually, when we had the last one we had of that, we chilled it right down. It had been in the fridge for probably about 2 days as well, and it was fine. It didn't gush. But
It's a little,
but
it's a little wild otherwise.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
It's got the exact same explosive character as a Christmas cracker, which you will know fondly, Scott.
Oh.
Throw those in the gift box if you're going to. I got to see what this is. I've never heard of this before.
Oh my God, my laugh is as Christmas goes, so shall Christmas be. Christmas. This is a Christmas game.
Was that your attempt at a link?
A segue. I think that's his attempt at a segue.
So,
I thought Gabe's job was easy.
when I'm talking about those barrels that I drank earlier, and here I am just literally going like, Christmas shall, as Christmas do.
Christmas will, but Christmas won't.
To me, Riddles 3. I have a game for Gabe and Grant, and Scott will be the judge.
I always liked you, Scott. I always liked you.
Oh, now it's happening. Here we go.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
I liked your haircut.
This game, as I know, Scott's auxiliary in this podcast. It's kind of us main three.
It's true. It's true.
We're the turds to be polished. That's the kind of thing.
And he's
But
the one
I
with
thought-
the brush.
Exactly. The one with
The polisher.
with the pledge.
Yeah. With the and the chamois leather. Nice.
Oh God! But as it's three of us, really just working hard for no money. I thought let's break this game up into 3 parts. So, would you like to hear what the parts are, or would you like to just go into each part blind?
Each part blind.
Yeah. All right. Grant looked like he didn't want to do that, but that's fine.
No, I'm in total agreement. I just was thinking about how Each Part Blind is the name of my next band.
Go really hardcore. Wow. So the Scott, you're going to have to keep note of the kind of score here, because I've kind of just made it all up. And he's got a pen. Lovely. So,
Did you hear that click?
yes. We'll amplify that in
Do we
post.
need pens, by the way?
No, I don't think you do. I think you could help yourself out here. I'm going to give you the first part, and I think I'm going to give you a little bit of time to create your thing. So I'll chat to the other contestant. So before we begin, who would like to go first?
I'll go first.
Grant volunteered, Gabe.
So here is the first of the 3 trials of Christmas. So this is Christmas Carols with Apples. It's a return of the game from last year, if you remember.
Ooh.
So Scott is going to give the points here. So impress him as many apple varieties as you can organically fit into one Christmas carol. So last time we said Silent Newtown Pippin. So Scott is going to be the judge for how organic the apple variety fits into the song, syllables and structure, and also how many there are. Also, he probably doesn't know all of them, so if he misses any, that's on you for not picking apple varieties that Scott knows.
No.
So do you give me the title of the carol, or I just
No,
pick?
you pick one, and
Yeah.
then when you're deciding what to do, we'll chat to Grant.
I'm ready.
Ooh.
So, Gabraham Lincoln.
Greetings.
This is a Christmas carol. I want it to be performed beautifully as well. Scott, this is a Christmas gift to Scott because we're too cheap to buy him cider. So let's give him the performance of your life.
Okay. I'm going to just warn you that there are a range of apple varieties in here, some of which originated in France, but have been planted in the UK. And maybe in other places too.
Okay, so just I'll tell you what, guys. Let's change the game. Let's not do this.
What?
No, if you want to raise your thumb when it's an apple variety, that'll help.
Okay.
Scott, I think, and the same for you, Grant. I think that's the easiest way.
Okay. Ready? Ba, 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 ba. Tip of the tongue, teeth in the lips. Away in a manger, Nehu crib for a baydan. The little Lord Lamborn Jesus lay dabbing at his sweet Alford cat's head. The stoke red in the brown snout looked dove where he labret. The little Lorna Doone asleep on the hang down.
Oh, yes.
Oh. Wow. From periologist to ciderologist, that was really, informative.
Apparently, I've found my oeuvre, which is cider apple Christmas carols. There we go.
Fucking hell. Oh my God. Yeah. And Scott, the quality of song is also important to the scoring as well. So if Grant has a more beautiful tone, I think that has to count towards points as well. So
for sure.
Who knows? Grant, are you ready?
No.
Okay. So, Grant, after that performance, there's a lot to live up to. Are you ready to take on the Ciderologist?
I think so. I don't know. Yeah.
Confidence of a Scot. All right. When you're ready, remember the quality of the song as well as the
quality, as in like how well it's sung, or
how sexy you make us feel listening to you. Okay. Like Adele makes me feel beautiful. I need that.
I'm having to look at the lyrics so I can't see you, so that's probably a good thing. Don't look at your audience. That'll be imagine.
Also, musically, for anyone listening now, Manchester Orchestra have a Christmas album that you should listen to get in the mood. It's very lovely, and this is paid advertisement. So, Grant, are you ready?
I hope Sula's sound asleep. On the first day of Christmas, my true love sent to me a pear made in a pear tree. On the second day of Christmas, my true love sent to me 2 tremlets bitter, a pear made in a pear tree. On the third day of Christmas, my true love sent to me 3 Bulmers Norman, 2 tremlets bitter, and a pear made in a pear tree. On the 4th day of Christmas, my true love sent to me 4 Medidor, 3 Bulmers Norman, 2 tremlets bitter, and a pear made in a pear tree. On the 5th day of Christmas, my true love sent to me 5 golden russet, 4 Medidor, 3 Bulmers Norman, 2 tremlets bitter, and a pear made in a pear tree. On the 6th day of Christmas, my true love sent to me 6 gold rush, 5 golden russets, 4 metador, 3 Bulmers Norman, 2 tremlets bitter, and a peppermint in a peri-pear tree.
Gabe, join in on the 5th.
On the 7th day of Christmas, my true love sent to me 7 spy gold brewing, 6 gold rush, 5 golden russets, 4 metador, 3 Bulmers Norman, 2 tremlets bitter, and a peppermint in a peri-pear tree. On the 8th day of Christmas, my true love sent to me 8 Macintosh milking, 7 spy gold brewing, 6 gold rush, 5 golden russets, 4 metador, 3 Bulmers Norman, 2 tremlets bitter, and a peppermint in a peri-pear tree. On the 9th day of Christmas, my true love sent to me 9 ladies of liberty dancing, 8 Macintosh milking, 7 spiders, 6 gold rush, 5 golden russets, 4 metador, 3 Bulmers Norman, 2 tremlets bitter, and a peppermint in a peri-pear tree. On the 10th day of Christmas, my true love sent to me 10 lords a seedling, 9 ladies of liberty dancing, 8 Macintosh milking, 7 spy gold, 6 gold rush, 5 golden russets, 4 metador, 3 Bulmers Norman, 2 tremlets bitter, and a peppermint in a peri-pear tree. On the 11th day of Christmas, my true love sent to me 11 porters perfection piping, 10 lords a seedling, 9 ladies of liberties dancing, 8 Macintosh milking, 7 spy gold swimming, and 6 gold rush, 5 golden russets, 4 metador, 3 Bulmers Norman, 2 tremlets bitter, and a peppermint in a peri-pear tree. On the 12th day of Christmas, my true love sent to me 12 gold rush, 20 17 leaping, 11 porters of perfection piping, 10 lords a seedling, 9 ladies of liberty dancing, 8 Macintosh milking, 7 spy gold swimming, 6 gold rush, 5 golden russets, 4 metador, 3 Bulmers Norman, 2 tremlets bitter, and a peppermint in a peri-pear tree.
So, Gabe wins that round.
You must have just put me to the post there with the amount of apples mentioned.
Pippined.
Oh, you pippined me to the post.
Pippined you to the
I
post.
just realised right then that
well.
I mentioned Gold Rush twice. That's pathetic.
You did mention gold. I was going to mention that.
I was getting
technically that's null and void. Null and void. You just screwed it up at the end.
So, let's listen to the cider expert, Scott. Who had
singing expert? Let's be.
You're the voice.
Yes.
Are you turning around? Who turns you on musically?
Oh boy,
different question.
Yeah, different podcast, I think.
Podcast.
So I thought let's start with Gabe. Gabe did a wonderful job. I scored him a 9 out of 10.
Oh, thank you.
Well done. I counted 9 apple varieties. You didn't thumb up 1 or 2 at the end, but I kind of figured them out. So I got 9 in there of the ones 5,
6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, actually.
Oh,
well, I didn't recognize a couple of those, and your thumb was pretty.
Well, I was too busy focusing on the singing rather than the.
Okay. Well, you did good. 9 out of 10 is pretty solid.
Thanks.
Grant, obviously, we've got 12. Even if we dock him 1 for using 1 twice, he's at 11 that I recognized or understood as apple varieties. But I really like the way he hit the 5th so strongly, and he wrapped it, so I gave him a 9.5. So Grant wins that round.
I mean, crowd participation. We all got involved, right? We all had fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gabe, he didn't pick a loser song. That was how he won.
How's a Wayne and Manger a loser song?
Oh, are you upset, Gabe? Are you upset at losing?
No.
No.
Don't worry, we're going to cut this episode. It doesn't matter.
Fucking will as well. You fucking will. I bet you Scott emails tomorrow going, "Oh, guys, Riverside didn't record any of that."
They've got a funky upgrade. We got blue squares around us, but no recording.
Well, that means you're not getting your demo from Andy Hull either. So
that's fine. That's fine. I don't need life goals. So what we're saying here, for the record, Scott, is Grant has 1 point at this category.
Yes.
And Gabe has a sad.
Isn't that a little reductive? That like there were two great performances and one was just a little bit.
I
better
love
than
the performances, and listeners at home will probably tweet in their ones that they preferred yours, and that's fine. That's great. I'm really glad. But for the sake of a binary result, there, Grant has won category 1 of 3. So there's 1 point there.
I won't upset the apple cart. So
number 2 is music. Music? It's not music. That's a lie. So round 2 is 4 questions, and you use name as buzzer, and you must give the right answer. So if you give the wrong answer, it is passed to the other buzzer automatically. Whoever gets the most out of this round gets 1 point overall for the category. Okay? So I'm going to ask 4 questions. I'm going to ask them one at a time and throw them over to you. If you think you can beat the question, just buzz in and I will stop the question at that point and you can give your answer. But otherwise, it's just a simple answer the question, guys.
Okay.
So, are we ready, guys?
Yes.
These are 4 questions, I think perfectly written, just like the starting joke of the show. But number 1, Andy Hull's band, Manchester Orchestra, have released a Christmas album, Christmas Songs Volume 1. But what is the final track called?
Gabe.
Gabe, go on.
Auld Lang Syne.
That is incorrect. Grant, would you like to guess what the final song on Christmas Songs Volume 1 is?
Silent Night.
It is the Christmas classic, Outro.
He loved that one, doesn't he?
I literally, when I wrote that, I was crying.
Yeah, that made you giggle.
Well done, Martyn.
Yeah, well done, Martyn. Martyn, you get the point.
Yeah,
for
you're
that
going to
one.
finish
Well
this
done.
round with 1 point.
Yeah. This is a Gabe quiz going on here. Like,
I may not be tall, but I make myself laugh. So, number 2. Oh my God. Oh, okay. Number 2. In 2004, which family presented the alternative Christmas message, closing out with a cup of traditional British wassail?
Grant
went in. Yeah.
The Osbournes?
The Osbournes. It's not correct.
Do you know what? That's who I was going to say.
They did do a Christmas one, didn't they?
Coming out with a cup of wassail.
I'm going to add here, not anything about the family, but when the bit cuts, they spit out the wassail, the cider, because it's disgusting.
2004.
Mm-hmm.
It's too early.
Just throw out an answer as to a famous family.
Can I go in after if he gets it wrong?
Yes, you can actually. Let's double down on this weird game that we've invented. Gabe, give your guess.
I'm going to go for the Kardashians, but I know it's not.
Grant, would you like to guess as to which famous family?
Is it the royal family? from
The alternative Christmas
TV,
message. The alternative. So when the Queen's doing it.
from the TV show.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah, no, that is not correct either.
But not as stupid an answer.
But not as stupid as the Queen.
No.
So, guys, neither of you got it. A very famous family in animation.
Simpsons.
It's The Simpsons.
Did they? Why did they say wassail?
Because they had
the drink is called wassail.
So they had the drink and they were like, so here's to you, wassail.
Oh, they actually did wassail.
Yeah, and then they drink it and it goes and cut and they go, oh, this is disgusting.
So in the US, wassail is mulled cider.
Right, okay.
Yeah. Well, that went down like a lead balloon. So, number 3, eatingwell.com.
Yes.
No one's buzzing in. Okay. Eatingwell.com has a recipe for Christmas cider with water, cider, orange juice, cinnamon, cloves, cranberry, and 4 bags of what as ingredients?
Grant.
Go on, Grant. Give us the answer.
Sugar?
I've got it.
Sugar. Bags of sugar. Scott. It's not. Gabe. Show us your bags.
Is it star anise?
No. It is, and this is the answer I've emboldened. 4 bags of black chai tea.
What?
Yeah, I read it and I was like, come on. That's, you're being a dick there, eatingwell.com. And this is the advert that you've paid for.
That Martyn's still waiting on a check for it. Right, okay, come on.
Oh my God. So we're at nil pois across the board. Number 4. Sanford Orchards created Devon Christmas cider, flavoured with clementines and spices. But for which supermarket?
Gabe. Marks and Spencer.
Oh, he's stolen it. He's got 1 full point for the whole category. So now it's even.
1-1.
Even a piece. Oh my God. And annoyingly, because it's even a piece, this is actually the longest part of the quiz.
Oh,
Oh my God. So, what I've prepared for you today is a reading. So, the first to spot the cider reference in the Christmas story I have prepared here. So it's fastest on the buzzer. And this is for the victory.
Okay.
So if you go too early, it carries on. And then it is the victor is the spoils. So.
And if you could justify that it is cidery, but it has to be the cidery one that you intended. If somehow we could create a vague cider link to something.
So you're going to go after 1 second and be like, oh,
I mean,
this is how long it takes to press
come
an
on, no,
app.
it's right. Come on, don't worry.
Yeah, it is. It's very, I mean, it is the name of a cider that we know.
Okay.
So if you don't get this,
okay,
I'll be surprised.
Okay.
If you spot this before, yeah, I think you're stretching and you'll know.
Okay.
So here we go, guys. This is it's a chapter from the classic A Christmas Carol from Charles Dickens, and I want you to spot the cider reference that Charles managed to fit in. I was genuinely surprised when this came up. When Scrooge awoke, it was so dark that looking out of bed, he could scarcely distinguish the transparent window from the opaque walls of his chamber. He was endeavouring to pierce the darkness with his ferret eyes when the chimes of a neighbouring church struck the 4 quarters, so he listened for the hour. To his great astonishment, the heavy bell went from 6 to 7, and from 7 to 8, and regularly up to 12, then stopped. 12? It was past 2 when he went to bed. The clock was wrong. An icicle must have got into the works. 12? He touched the spring of his repeater to correct this most preposterous clock. Its rapid little pulse beat 12 and stopped. "Why, it isn't possible," said Scrooge. "Then I could have slept through a whole day and far into another night. It isn't possible that anything has happened to the sun, and this is 12 at noon." The idea being an alarming one, he scrambled out of bed and groped his way to the window. He was obliged to rub the frost off with the sleeve of his dressing gown before he could see anything, and could see very little then. All he could make out was that this was still very foggy and extremely cold, and there was Borough Hill Kingston Black bottle for Grant. You got to the pitch first.
God, he barked that,
What
didn't he?
is the cider?
What is the cider? Borough Hill, Kingston Black.
So the rest of the tale apparently goes, I read it and I was shocked. And that there was Borough Hill Kingston Black bottle fermented sparkling dry cider, brackets, overall champion at the Hereford International Cider and Perry Show 2014, and against 200 other UK ciders. So
Bravo.
this Christmas, it's our Kris Kringle king, the king of it all, Grant. Grant, you won a game.
I'd just like to take this opportunity to say a word. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank Martyn, thank Gabe, thank Scott, thank my wife Jay, my daughter Sula. Oh, it's just been a roller coaster. From the moment I sang Permian in a Perry pear tree, this has been really one of the greatest moments of my life.
It was inspired, let's be fair. Let's be
The
fair.
longest Christmas quiz. I'm really sorry, guys. I did not think it would go.
It's going to be a two-parter. It has to be.
Scott, this is what British Christmas is all about. The crackers, these are the kind of jokes and activities you get in those crackers. So, you know.
We didn't fall out, though. There has to be an argument, right?
Oh, fuck off.
Oh, fuck you.
I did
whatever.
fucking hate that Andy guy.
Yeah, what's he talking about?
He'll be devastated when he's listening, Martyn. You gotta be careful.
Yeah. He's not going to send you that email.
Do you know what's funny? The fact that listeners, he actually listened to this show and he told us numerous episodes, not just the cursory one. Like he's actually a listener.
Yeah.
So Andy, thank you for joining in. But yeah, fuck you as well.
Do you have to tell all of our guests to fuck off or
Martyn's,
fuck
like,
you?
next
at some
podcast is just going to be him telling famous people to fuck off.
It's the Martyn Sharman Show with Bill Burr, which is the angry ginger man just shouting at people. Oh my God. But yeah, guys.
Good game, man. Thank you, Martyn.
Yeah, good game. That was a good game. That was a really good game.
I wrote it in about 10 minutes.
Well,
Perfect.
I'm in quite a festive mood. I'll say that. I'm in a festive mood.
Oh, good.
I think actually, I was quite pleased with how I read Charles Dickens.
I thought that you were going to like sneak in a name sort of into the lyrical flow, and you mentioned about the sun, and I thought, oh, heavy sun, Caledonian, heavy sun, and then no, it was
my original plan. Genuinely was to put Guidon as a name instead of Tiny Tim, but in the sections when Tiny Tim is mentioned, it's so intense with dialogue that I would have to do 20 voices. So I was like, I'm not in the mood for that.
When you said what it was, I was like, oh, that's brilliant, because I literally this week I went to see Muppet Christmas Carol with an orchestra, and I was like, oh, I'll know this.
And you did.
I was thinking, oh yeah, that's what Michael Caine said. I remember he mentioned that.
But we've got to get a bottle of Kingston Black from Borough Hill. Oh my God. Well, guys, festive period is over. Well done. We completed it. We did
festive
Christmas.
fun done.
We didn't come back for a season, but I feel that our return pretty premature here, but I feel that we really fucking killed it. I feel we really did that.
I reckon producer Scott's not going to have to do any cuts at all.
Not at all.
Just
I'm definitely going to put out a 3-hour and 9-minute episode of the Neutral Cider Hotel.
No.
Everyone will love it. So there we go, everybody. Thanks again to Andy Hull from Manchester Orchestra for an amazing chat and conversation, and to allow Martyn just to go full board, love, fan, mega stardom, lustrous. Don't really know where I'm going there. Start again.
No. Keep that. That's how I felt.
Is that what it was?
Yep, that's fine. I'm okay with that.
Well, there we go. We very much hope you enjoyed our festive Christmas present bonus episode. Not necessarily sure exactly when another one will come out, but until then, have a Merry Christmas and a wonderful New Year to you all. Everybody, what's
Before we finish, Grant, what was the last line? And a partridge in a what?
Pear tree.
Can we all go? And a partridge in a pear.
Well, it was a pear main. A pear main.
A partridge in a pear main.
and a pear main in a pear tree.
Wait, what was it?
And a pear main in a pear tree.
And a pear main in a pear tree. Okay, so can we all do that?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
All right.
Who's counting in?
Grant.
1, 2, 3. And a
pear main.
I mean, it required you to know timing.
1, 2, 3. And a
How about each of you do it differently, and I'll just put the tracks together and it'll sound great.
No, it has to be all together.
Well,
Martyn, let's get the words right.
In fact, that might even be better. But it
Well,
just
Martyn,
goes-
you need to know that what we're saying.
What are we? What
Pear
are we
main.
saying?
And a pear main
Which is an
in
apple.
a pear tree.
Pear main.
In a pear tree.
A pear main in a pear. So it'll be 1, 2, 3, and a pear main in a pear tree.
Tree.
Cool.
He has to write it out. He's 2 bottles in. He can't remember 5
2
words.
bottles in. I'm 3 barrels in, baby. All right. When you're ready, Grant.
1, 2, 3. And a pear
main.
Oh my!
I think they're timing. Like, Gabe, you sound really slow.
So we're doing.
You were like, and a pear.
Herman, I'm ready. I'm there. I'm like Martyn just hasn't. He
And a
can't say
pear.
words.
Martyn hasn't figured out the words yet.
He's just saying
And a pear main.
pear.
I mean, we could just say a perry and a perry.
No, it has to be correct.
And a pear main
I
in a
wrote the
pear
opening
tree.
joke. I will write the closing one. All right, when
Come
you're
on.
ready.
1, 2, 3, and a
pear main in a pear. What is going?
Martyn, you're so slow. Like,
I think there's a delay. That's really not.
Gabe is going slow and then I'm slowing down to fit.
Yeah.
Are we doing and a pear main in a pear tree?
Why can't we do that? Come on.
Da 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 da. All right, let's go. Fucking hell.
1, 2, 3, and a
It's Gabe. I swear it's Gabe. Because you go, Gabe, you go, and like you're already at a half beat.
Just carry on. Fucking now.
All right, Grant and I will do it normal speed. I'm crying. I can't breathe. All right, Grant, when you're ready.
1, 2, 3, And a
pear made in a very tree. We did it. We did it. Oh my God. Scott, edit that, baby.
Unbelievable.
Fucking hell.
my.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Wassail